If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Arie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.
This is episode... What episode is it?
436.
This
436.
436 of Wheel Bearings. I am Sam Abuel-Salmon from Telemetry.
And I am Nicole Wakeland from Top Speed.
And I am Roberto Baldwin from SAE International and the SAE Automotive Podcast. Give it a listen.
Is it really you? Are you there? Do we have you? Your audio's here? We're going to have you the whole time this week?
I mean, I think so. Well, I'm also recording locally. So even if things go horribly wrong within the system we use, I still have my audio that I can send to Sam when things go horribly wrong. Also, it's probably my fault because I have about 15 to 20 Chrome windows, not just tabs. Within those tabs, there's like billions of little tabs that also windows open. Because I'm one of those people who I will have tabs open for articles I've written like 2 weeks ago because I have so many tabs open and I haven't gone through and I'm like, oh wait, I don't need any of this information anymore. This article's done.
You're just like me. I have tabs that have been open for months and months.
Gosh, I'm the reverse. Everything, all the tabs are closed. Unless I need it, it's not there. I throw it away as soon as I don't. I have the cleanest, tidiest little desktop and everything.
See,
I bet your physical desk is also very clean and tidy.
You don't know me? Yes, it is. It's very, very tidy.
Okay,
when Russ uses it, I get all distraught because I'm like, I'm sorry, you moved my notepad a half an inch to the right. Dude, put it back where you found it.
Mine is chaos. There's like notebook. There's tons and tons of notebooks with articles I'm working on. There's a keyboard. There's a MIDI keyboard. There's an audio recorder, like a high-end audio recorder. There's a card from my wife that she made for me. There's an owl. There's a 4-track tape recorder, like cassette tape. I haven't used this thing in like 20-something years. It's sitting on my desk. It's just chaos.
None of that clutter on my desk. I have my
GoPros.
I have exactly one piece of clutter I have that doesn't belong on my desk. I have an Oswald stuffed animal that my daughter gave me, and he sits there and keeps me
nice.
Oswald the lucky rabbit. That's it.
That's a Gen 4 iPod?
I got a 40 gigabyte.
What are you going to do with that? Do you ever use that, Rob?
Yeah, I have the charger for it and everything, and I'll plug it in. I'll listen to it.
Oh,
because you can listen to music without 1,000. It's like a time machine of what I was listening to when this iPod was out.
Okay.
I
have a couple of iPods in a drawer in my office as well.
I got my 7-Eleven watch.
Where the heck did you get a 7-Eleven? Did you actually buy that at 7-Eleven?
No, you have to order it. Oh, 7-Eleven has a whole because they realized that people love 7-Eleven, especially in Asia. So they created a whole line of 7-Eleven stuff. They have watches and clothes. It's actually really cool stuff. It's weirdly cool.
But for those, since those of you can't see the video, the 7-Eleven watch, the only two numbers on the watch are 7 and 11.
And 11.
Well, the other ones are really, really faint. But it has
I can even see them in the picture. I believe you.
And it glows. And when it glows, you see the 7 in the background.
Ooh.
I don't know why. This is a visual gag for an audio podcast. I apologize, everyone.
All right. Well, and I want to sincerely apologize for last week's show when Robbie's audio, for reasons that remain unknown, Riverside just stopped recording his audio. It was transmitting it to us. We could hear him the entire time as we were having the conversation, and you guys could tell from the emails I got that trying to pick up what we were talking about. because
my
as
gosh,
Nicole and
we're
I
so
were
sorry.
responding to Robbie, but
Again, I'm 100% sure it was my fault. And right now, Riverside's only uploaded 1%. I don't know what's going on. I've updated Chrome.
But we have recordings now, so if Riverside fails us, we have backups for all of us now. This is never going to happen again. Sam's like, everybody, record on
famous
locally.
last words.
Yeah, right. Famous last words. Hopefully, never going to happen again.
All right, Nicole.
Yes,
what
sir.
are you driving?
I am driving, and it's the perfect week to have a vehicle like this. I have the Land Rover Defender Octa, which feels like I think of Doc Ock every time I see this. I feel like it should be his car. I'm like, you call it Octa, it belongs to Doc Ock. So this is it's crazy, stupid, powerful, more powerful than Eve. 4.4 liter twin turbo V8, 626 horsepower.
That's not very powerful.
Well, but I mean, it's more power than you need in this thing. 553
well, wait till we get to some of the stuff we have later in the rundown.
I know. So it's got some oomph. So the Octa is also really expensive. Let's start right off there. Price is $158,300.
Oh, I felt that in my gut.
I know, you felt that, right? Like, bam. Well, what do you guys think the destination is?
$1,200.
$1,100.
Sam wins, but he's way low. It's $1,850.
Ooh.
Oh, we thought it'd be high.
This is unusual for premium brand because premium brands usually don't hide their price increases in the destination charge. They just put it right up front and so here's how much you're going to pay us.
Well, and the funny part of that is too, this is $158,300. Just make it like $1,000 more. Nobody's spending money at that level cares about an extra $1,000 in the sticker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this is great, big, fancy, expensive SUV. We have had snow. We've had so much snow here. The snow keeps coming, and they keep saying it's going to be a dusting of snow. And last night, our dusting of snow was enough that my husband was snowblowing this morning. There's probably 3 inches of snow, and the rain that we're getting today is going to be half a foot. So I have the perfect vehicle to have when the roads are absolute garbage, which is what they are. They're just covered in ice and snow and a mess. You use your little drive mode thing. You pick the one that has a little snowflake on it. It just drove like a champ. It's got plenty of power. It's really comfortable. It's a high step in. So the downside is if you just step up, like if you have someone like kids, you have a parent or somebody who has mobility issues, it's a little tough to step up into. Once you're in it, though, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's super comfy. It has that cool mix of being a luxury car with all these leather trims and everything and beautiful styling, but also being rugged. It doesn't look like I always think I love Mercedes, but they look very delicate to me inside. Like I'd be afraid to have a kid inside of a Mercedes because everything is so pretty and fancy and delicate. This is not a delicate car. It's like a little rugged, arg. And the color on this, what is it called? Petra Copper. Oh God, the color's so cool. It just looks so neat from the outside. It's a metallic, but it somehow is sort of a matte kind of it's really cool. I love how this car looks. You get wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You get a charging pad. You get USB-C charging ports. You can tow up to 8,200 pounds in there. It's got great cargo room. There's 34 cubic feet behind the second row and 78.8 if you flip the second row down. I love driving this. It was super fun, and it's very easy and very intuitive. Oh, and this is really cool. So on the steering wheel, the little paddle shifters, the little up and down, they're sort of like clear plastic with a plus and a minus on them. At night, they glow. So the little plus and the minus glow. So like the first time I sat down, I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. It's just completely unnecessary, but a nice little touch. Again, you spend $158,300 in a car. You want it to look kind of nifty, and that makes it look kind of nifty. I really enjoyed driving this. I was happy that I got to drive it in the snow because it proved so stable and handled so well, because the upside to having a great big heavy SUV is that it gets through stuff. But the downside is when it gets icy, it's a lot of weight. So if you have a lot of momentum, you're going to go. And go. Yeah, exactly. So if it doesn't, if it doesn't handle the roads well, it's in some ways worse than driving something smaller. But this actually was great. It had no problem handling the snow. It stayed very composed, didn't get stuck in it. We'll see how I do in the next 6 inches of snow. It looks like snow out there. It looks scary. So I thoroughly enjoyed driving this. I've always been sort of a Land Rover fan. I love this vehicle. If I had $158,300, I don't. But if I had $158,300, this would be on my list. Even though, Land Rover doesn't have the most fantabulous reputation for not needing to be in the shop. But as we all know, that doesn't matter to me.
But they don't typically leave you with a dead 12-volt battery repeatedly.
They do not.
That's
So,
true.
there's
It's usually something more expensive to fix.
It's right. It's going to be like, this is $5,000 to fix this thing. But so I really do like it. And this is the biggest, burliest of like the Defenders. I think if you go down the line in the Defender 110, you can start at 63.5. So I think that's sort of important to note. Like the Octa is the fanciest. It's very fancy. It's very upscale. It's got all the stuff. If you want that, and it makes a heck of an impression as you're driving. But if you want a Defender, you can get it all the way down to 63.5. So there's some room in there depending on what you want. So it's not like you can't afford a Defender because they're all over 6 figures. You can get one for under 6 figures. You don't get some of the bling that you get on this, but you're still going to get a fabulous car. You can still say you're driving a Land Rover, Range Rover, Defender, like it's the longest title. So overall, I really liked it. And I'm super psyched that I got this during a snowy week because I normally get things like this. And it's like, oh, it's the January thaw. You don't need it. The next week I get, a compact hatchback and we get a nor'easter. So I'm glad the timing worked out this time to actually give it a go.
Well, the Defender X that I had in December when I was out on the West Coast, that one, that was $96,000, which still is not cheap.
Yeah, right.
But that was with the supercharged V6, and that was also really nice. I liked that one a lot.
Yeah.
So and I think even if you go with one of the like the Defender S, or even the X Dynamic SE, which is 75, that's for a premium, really off-road capable SUV, so I think, Wrangler or Bronco, but, with a lot more luxury than you get in those. Mm-hmm. And if you put the right tires on it, you can basically do pretty much anything you can do with those vehicles.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I've long been a fan of the Defender. This makes me more of a fan and makes me wish I had $158,300 to spend on one because it's super fun. But it's a versatile car. I think it's something worth looking at. I wouldn't, I just think it's important to realize that you have a range on this. It's definitely a vehicle that you've got cheap ones and you got
options.
Stupidly expensive ones. So don't just I can't afford one of those. Well, you can. I mean, you need to have some kind of budget.
Maybe.
It's 63, but maybe not as out of reach as you think it is.
Well, actually, I think probably the one I might go for if I was buying a Defender would be the Trophy Edition.
Oh,
and the
that's
sand
cool.
glow yellow.
How much is the Trophy Edition?
That's $87,400.
87. Okay, so still.
So it's almost half of what the Octa costs.
Right? You could buy 2 of those.
Yeah, but if you remember the Land Rover Trophy thing that they did back in the 1980s and 90s, those, they had this yellow, they were all painted in this yellow finish, and they did these annual adventures, they got, serious off-road people and went to all kinds of crazy places for the Land Rover Trophy. And so, they've now got the Trophy Edition, which is basically that concept. In those days they were doing it not with Defenders, but with the first generation Discoveries. And and actually, I think originally even with Range Rovers, the first years were with Range Rovers before they got crazy luxury, and then went to Discoveries. And they have the Defender Trophy Edition, which is inspired by those Land Rover Trophy vehicles from the 80s and 90s.
Yep. So there we go.
All right. Cool. Well, it sounds like a good time to have a Land Rover this week.
Yes,
in
it's
New Hampshire.
It's a perfect week.
Yeah, I saw in my newsfeed this morning I don't know why it brought up a weather story about Boston, but I guess they're expecting like 9 inches in Boston today.
I'm a little nervous because when they say it's like this one, they said it was a dusting. We probably got about 3 inches of snow. This other one, like, well, it's not going to be anything. Oh, you guys, it's probably going to be an inch. Oh, you know what? You might get we're at a half a foot. So I feel like every time I walk away and I look again, the forecast goes up, which either means we're going to get nothing or we're going to get absolutely clobbered. So I don't know. We'll see what it is tomorrow.
Well, this week, on Wednesday, you were here in Detroit, Nicole,
Oh, my
for the
Lord.
Detroit Auto Show.
I was.
And there wasn't really any snow in the forecast for that day.
Nope.
And by the time we left Huntington Place, there was several inches of snow on the ground. I mean, it came in, it was overcast, but it wasn't looking like it was going to be a snowstorm.
It was, I was actually flying back after that out of Detroit back to LA to drive the Kia K4 hatchback, and my flight I changed flights, so I still got out the same night because my original flight coming in was diverted to Columbus, Ohio. I was just chilling in Columbus. I'm like, that's concerning. So I switched to another flight. My original flight, they, quote, delayed it to the following morning at 9 a.m. That's when it took off.
That's when it got from Columbus to Detroit?
That's when it got, I guess, finally got from Columbus to Detroit, and then took everybody who remained on that flight, poor people, to LA the next morning. So I was very glad that I decided to change flights. Otherwise, I would have missed the Kia drive altogether.
Have you ever searched for yourself online? I do it because in the work I do as an industry analyst and journalist, I have to maintain my credibility and can't afford to have it damaged by bad actors that are abusing my data. You'd be surprised and upset about what you can find about yourself online. Your phone number, home address, even details about your family are out there, whether you agreed to it or not. That's because data brokers are collecting and selling your information to marketers, scammers, and basically anyone willing to pay. It's the reason robocallers know your name and why ads seem to track you across every screen. Aura fights back. They remove your personal data from broker sites and keep it off. Aura also alerts you fast if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura does more than just cleaning up your data from brokers. It's a full suite of digital security tools that protects every part of your life online. Aura gives you a VPN to stay private, antivirus to block threats, and a password manager to keep your logins safe and spam call protection to cut off the scammers. Aura also scans the dark web for your most sensitive information, like your social security number, bank logins, and passwords, and notifies you instantly if they are exposed. And if your identity is ever stolen, you're backed up by up to $5 million in insurance and a 24/7 U.S.-based fraud support to help you recover it quickly. Other services charge about the same, but they only cover one or two areas. With Aura, you get it all: data broker removal, credit and identity monitoring, device protection, and fraud support, all in one simple app. Aura cleans up what's already out there, protects what isn't, and puts you back in control. Right now, you can try Aura free for 14 days when you visit aura.com/remove. That's enough time for Aura to start removing your personal information from data broker sites. Sign up today at aura.com/remove and get the peace of mind that your privacy, identity, and finances are safeguarded. That's aura.com/remove. Certain terms apply. See the site for details.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. New Year's resolutions are weird. Change this, start doing that. A new gym membership? No. The reality is, if you're like me, real change that helps me day to day comes from finding tools to help me better interact with friends, family, and work, and just deal with my general anxiety. It's easy to get overwhelmed by the world at large, and the pressure to make some big changes doesn't help. What has helped me navigate an increasingly complex world is talking to a therapist. To help you find someone to talk to, BetterHelp makes it easy to get matched online with a qualified therapist. Getting started is easy. BetterHelp does the initial matching work so you can focus on your therapy goals. They have a short questionnaire that helps you identify your needs and preferences, and with over 12 years experience, they're gonna help you find somebody. That means they typically get it right the first time, and well, this next part is very important. If you aren't happy with your initial match, you can switch. You can switch to another of BetterHelp's over 30,000 therapists at any time. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com. That's better, HELP.com.
Did you know you can support Wheel Bearings directly? Head to patreon.com/wheelbearingsmedia and you can become a patron today. Your contributions will help fund the platforms and tools we use to bring the podcast to you. And exclusives and improvements are already on the way thanks to your generosity. So if you want to be part of an automotive podcast like no other, head to patreon.com/wheelbearingsmedia. We've updated the Wheel Bearings merch store, and now there's a whole bunch of new choices, new colors, new styles, t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, hats, mugs, travel mugs, stickers, aprons, tote bags, you name it. You can get your Wheel Bearings merch at shop.wheelbearings.media. Go check it out. That's shop.wheelbearings.media.
Woof.
Well, the vehicle that I had that I drove to the auto show and to several other events this past week was the Porsche Macan Electric 4S.
Ooh.
So it's the first time I've had a Porsche in my driveway in many, many years.
Okay.
And I really enjoyed it. So the Macan is Porsche's entry level SUV. This fits in down below the Cayenne, and it's relatively compact. Not too small, but more on the compact size. And as is the typical of Porsche, they have about 63,000 variations of it, including five different electric variants from the base Macan Electric that starts at $80,300. The Macan 4, and that's a rear-wheel drive version. Then they've got the Macan 4 Electric, then the 4S, the GTS, and the Turbo. And those go from 355 horsepower with that rear drive single motor version up to 630 horsepower with the Turbo. The 4S is in the middle of the range. So with the overboost power, with launch control, you have about 509 horsepower, which for a vehicle this size is more than adequate.
Horsepower.
Yeah, it'll do 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds, which is quite good. The base power setup, that you get all the time is 442 horsepower, and like I said, there's the overboost mode that will briefly pump it up to 509 horsepower, and 604 foot-pounds of torque when you use the overboost. So that's a lot. It's a very quick vehicle. I like the size. It's like I say, it's fairly compact, but it will still hold 4 adults reasonably comfortably. The back seat isn't huge, but I could sit behind myself. 5'10", 5'11", and I can sit behind myself. It's got about 19 cubic feet of cargo space in the back, which again, not the hugest for a vehicle of this type, but it also has, even with the dual motor all-wheel drive version, it still has a 2.5 cubic foot frunk as well. That is, you can use the button. You don't have to go inside the vehicle like you do on, say, a Mustang Mach-E to pop the frunk. You can do it from the key fob, and it's a power lid on there, and so that's big enough to hold a couple of decent sized duffel bags, a couple of backpacks. You can put your charging cables in there and assorted other stuff. A couple of bags of groceries will fit in there. So it's, you get some decent sized storage up front. And one of the events that I went to, they had valet parking there. And so instead of leaving my backpack inside the vehicle, I just, I put it in the frunk. So it was out of sight and out of mind.
Nice.
The one that I had was finished in the frozen blue metallic, which is kind of a pale, maybe a little bit lighter than a typical robin's egg blue, but kind of a more pale blue color. Which when it was clean, which was not for very long, it was for like the first day or two that I had it, and that's as soon as it arrived, I took it out and got it photographed before the weather turned nasty, and we were in one of our brief warm spells that we've had this month here in Michigan when I got it, and so when I photographed it, there was no snow on the ground, and then within a couple of days we started getting some snow, and then on Wednesday for the auto show, it was a heavy snow day, and so the Macan, is equipped with the usual array of driver assist features. And as I was driving from Detroit back to Ypsilanti, within about 10 miles or so, I got the alert coming up on the cluster screen. Assist features unavailable. Please clean your sensors. And it wasn't the camera behind the windshield that was the problem. It was all the stuff in the front. And when I got home and got out, there was this like caked, probably almost half-inch thick layer of ice across the radar sensor and the other sensors in the front fascia, and covering the headlamps and everything. So fortunately, it was still daylight hours when I was driving it, because otherwise I would have had basically no light from the lights.
No problem, no big deal. It's okay.
Yeah. Fortunately, they did deliver the car on a set of snow tires. It was on Pirelli Scorpion Winter 2 tires. They have several when you go to configure a Macan, they have wheel and tire combinations ranging from including 20, 21, and 22 inches in diameter. This Macan had 21s on it, so the mid-size. And you can actually, when you order the car, you can order it with a winter wheel and tire package, so you can actually get the same wheels. So you can get two sets of the same wheels. And, if you are someone that switches out tires a couple times a year, it's handy to have an extra set of wheels. So, the winter wheel and tire package, where'd it go here? Let's see. It's the 21-inch, set with the same wheels. These are the 21-inch Macan design wheels. So a set of 4 wheels and 4 winter tires. $7,022.
Whew.
Yeah.
That's Porsche money, though.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, it is.
You will, when you buy a Porsche, you will pay. And it's funny, this is one of the rare instances where I did not get a Monroney with the car, but going through the configurator and building it up, so they've got lots of colors available on this. So there's the basic white and black that you can get for free, and then everything else costs extra. The frozen blue metallic is $1,300. They've got the Legends colors, which includes the oak green metallic Neo, which looks fabulous, for $2,600. And then they have paint to sample. So you can bring a sample of literally anything to your dealer, and they will match the color and paint the car to that exact same color. That is a $13,870 option.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to make the paint, and the paint's only going to be used once, and blah blah blah. So yeah, you're talking, maybe 3 or 4 gallons of paint. When you go to Lowe's and you take a color sample, they'll do the color matching. It's they don't charge you anything extra to do the color match. But $14,000. But,
Oof.
Again, it's not so much because they have to make the paint, but because they have, they're basically going to be hand painting this thing. They're going to hand paint the body shell rather than going through the regular paint process at the factory. Let's see, what other crazy option prices we got here? Oh, yeah, you can also get your wheels painted in various colors. There's front fascia accessories. So you can get... there's an off-road design package for the front fascia. And keep in mind, this is not an off-road vehicle. This is very much a street SUV. But you can get an off-road, the exclusive manufacturer off-road design package, which gives you a lower bumper area that's kind of got ridges. It looks kind of like a skid plate, but it's very much not a skid plate. So do not take this off road.
Do not get confused.
That's $1,600.
Do not get confused about this.
There's the Sport Design fascia package, which is $4,300, and it goes on and on. If there's one thing that Porsche has become, absolute experts in is figuring out how to separate customers from their money. As much money as you are willing to spend, Porsche will happily sell you something to take that money from your bank account.
They will.
Let's see what else. So the Macan is built on the new PPE platform, which is the Performance Platform Electric. So this is after they did the Taycan. That was a platform called J1, which was used for the Taycan and for the Audi e-tron GT. And then Audi and Porsche collaborated on a next generation platform, which they used for the Macan. It's going on the new Cayenne. It's being used by Audi for the Q6 e-tron, the new A6, and a bunch of others. And it's a multi-energy platform. But the electric version of it, it's an 800-volt architecture. It has the capability of charging close to 300 kilowatts. When I did take it to the Electrify America station, I stopped there on my way back from driving back from Detroit. There's no in the settings, there's nowhere to manually enable battery preconditioning. Like as you do, like for example, on our EV6, you can go into the settings and you can turn on preconditioning manually. There's nowhere to do that manually, but it does it automatically. So if you use the built-in navigation and you select a DC fast charger as your destination, it will automatically do the preconditioning based on how far away you are from the thing. And in the cluster, it actually shows you the battery temperature.
Ooh. Mine just has a little thing it puts over the battery. It looks like a little coil. Like
it doesn't show you a coil. It just shows you a battery icon and shows you the battery temperature. So by the time I got to the charging station, it was around, even though it was about 15 degrees Fahrenheit, 15 or 20 degrees Fahrenheit, the battery was at about 70 degrees Fahrenheit, which is getting into its optimal range. I plugged it in at about 15% state of charge, and it jumped up and started charging at about 255 kilowatts, which is pretty good, especially at that temperature. And charged it up to about 50%, and then had to run over to Discount Tire to pick up the new tire for my wife's car because the day before she picked up something and got a puncture. And of course, instead of being right in the middle of the tread where they could just stick a plug in it for $5,
sidewall.
It was on the shoulder, so not repairable. So that was a couple $100 for me. But
I think I've had one puncture in a tire that was repairable in the last 8 punctures. It's just always right in the sidewall. I'm like, son of a
yeah. But the cargo area of the Macan is big enough to hold the 19-inch wheel and tire combination from a Kia EV6. So, again, nice, good size cargo area. And, before we started getting the snow, I took it out on Saturday morning last week, took it out for a nice long drive out near Pinckney, on some nice curving roads. And even on the winter tires, it was a lot of fun to drive. This was great, and the one I had the variable. It's got air spring. I think it's air spring suspension, but it's variable height suspension system. So highway speeds, it drops down a little bit when you put it in. It has an off-road mode, but like I said, this is not an off-road vehicle. And this off-road basically means that it's an unpaved dirt road is about the limits of what this can do. But when you put it in off-road mode, it lifts up a couple inches, and it was fantastic. I really enjoyed driving this car. Again, the temperatures during most of the time I had it were quite cold, so I was using the heat, using the heated seats, using the heat, using the window defrosters, and everything. There's no standard rear wiper on the Macan. It is available as an option.
But also kind of
How much is that?
To be honest, I'm not sure. I didn't see it in here. It's probably here somewhere. But it's a Porsche, so it's not going to be cheap. Oh, here we go. Rear wiper trim in high gloss. No, that's the trim. Let's see. Where's the wiper itself? Rear wiper. Oh, it's only $390.
Oh, okay.
Shocking.
Okay. Okay.
So
seems less. Yeah.
So if you live somewhere that gets winter weather, I would strongly recommend that you spring for the $400 for the rear wiper, because otherwise, when you get a lot of snow coming down, the airflow across the rear window not going to cut it. It's not going to keep that window clearer. The defroster, it'll heat it, and you'll have stripes of ice that'll be sagging across your rear window, but you're still going to have obscured visibility. So definitely get the rear wiper. So all in, as configured. So I'm going to give you two prices. There's as configured it without the winter wheel and tire package. $103,540. And with the same winter wheel and tire package. So if you order this extra, that jumps to $110,562. Like I said, base price of the Macan Electric is just over $80,000. So you're looking at an extra almost $30,000. For the one that I had. And let's see, where is delivery. Take a guess at delivery charges.
$900.
$1,295.
Nicole gets it, but she was not close. $2,350.
Oh my gosh.
We were way the heck off. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
that is a lot.
The 4S starts at $89,900. $11,290 worth of options, plus another $7,000 for the winter wheel and tire package, and $2,350 for the delivery, processing, and handling fee.
That's so much money.
It is, but hey, it's a Porsche.
Here's the thing: when you get in a Porsche and you drive it for like a block, you realize, that's where all the money went.
Yeah,
it really does.
Yeah, totally solid.
It always feels like, okay, I understand.
It's definitely not a car that you get in and you think like, I don't get it. Why is this so much money? You're like, this is why this is so much money.
Yeah, I mean, beautiful materials, really solidly put together. It's got manual vents, so you don't have to go into the touchscreen to adjust the vents where the air's flowing.
Look at
that. Heated front and rear seats. The only slight downside, really, on the center console, where it's got some touch controls for a few things. There's it's like one panel. If you're old enough to remember the BlackBerry Storm smartphone, BlackBerry's first attempt at a touchscreen phone, they wanted to give it the clickiness of a keyboard, so the panel actually pivots a little bit. So when you press the touch buttons, it clicks, and you can feel it feel that whole panel pivot a little bit, which is a little off-putting, but it's it's not a big deal. And the other thing that's not so much a functional problem, but a little odd, is just the position of the shift selector for the transmission. So it's on the dashboard to the right of the instrument cluster, and it's kind of hidden behind the steering wheel. And so there's just a little lever there instead of being a stock on the steering column, it's actually mounted on the dashboard. So you push it down for drive, up for reverse, and then there's a button for park. It took me a couple of days to get used to that's where it was. And once I got used to that, it was fine. There's of course, different drive modes. There's Sport Plus, the Comfort mode, which is what I ended up leaving it in most of the time once the weather got worse. But I did use, on my Saturday morning drive, I did use the Sport Plus mode, which gives you a little more noise and stuff like that. But overall, really nice car to drive.
Cool.
So that is the Porsche Macan 4S electric.
Nice.
or electric 4S, or I don't know, whatever.
Whatever.
sequences are supposed
Whatever
to go
order
in.
of operations they want you to use.
It's a Macan
Yeah.
4S has electric motors. That's what it is. You know what you're getting when you leave.
Yeah. All right. So, let's start off with some news that came out ahead of the auto show. Ford, as has become their tradition, does not show their stuff off at the auto show itself. They do separate events before the show. And so, excuse me, Monday morning in Dearborn at their new product development center and world headquarters. First time I've been in the building. Looks really nice. They showed us a couple of new models that are coming out, starting with the Ford Mustang Dark Horse SC.
Ooh.
So this is effectively a replacement for the old Shelby GT500. So for this current generation for the S650 Mustangs, Ford has ended their licensing relationship with Shelby American. So they're no longer paying Shelby for every one of these cars that they sell, paying them a license fee. And that's why they brought out the Dark Horse branding for the previous, above the GT model. And now they have the Dark Horse SC, which adds the supercharged 5.2 liter V8. Ford basically wouldn't give us any specs on this car other than here's the displacement. Here they told us some of the features it has, but no specific details on performance. But for reference, the previous generation GT500 that ended production 2 years ago now, that one had 760 horsepower from its 5.2 liter supercharged V8. The current Mustang GTD, which costs $400,000, has 815 horsepower.
Gulp.
So this one likely going to be somewhere in between those two, probably closer to 800, but somewhere in that range, because it's almost, let's put it this way. If I was a GTD buyer, I would be really, really angry at Ford if this had more than 815 horsepower.
Yeah. If it had 800 horsepower, also, if you're buying the GTD, I don't know what you're doing with your money, to be honest.
You're having fun with it. You're just loving life.
If you got $400,000 to spend on a Mustang, whatever.
It's like you bought a
Be
burger and then you like, I would like bacon on that burger, and the burger itself costs $10, but the bacon costs $400. That's what the GTD is.
To be fair, the GTD is barely a Mustang.
So the GTD is
shaped
$400
like a Mustang.
bacon. It's basically
$400
bacon.
bacon.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. They have, there's the base Dark Horse SC, which again, we have no pricing information. This is going to go on sale. They're going to start taking orders in the spring, start deliveries in the summer. But the current Dark Horse, the naturally aspirated 5-liter Dark Horse with 500 horsepower, that starts at about $65,000, I think. Goes up to, if you load it up with all of the options, you can get it up to about $90,000. So this Dark Horse SC probably going to start somewhere in that $90,000 range.
Yeah.
And then you can get the Dark Horse SC Track Pack, which throws away the rear seat, gives you carbon fiber wheels with Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 4 tires, and Brembo carbon ceramic brakes, forged control arms for the suspension. With the Track Pack, they say they took out about 120 pounds of unsprung mass from the car and 150 pounds total. So between the four corners with the carbon wheels, carbon brakes, forged control arms, they took off roughly about 30 pounds from each corner of the car, which will help with handling and ride and acceleration. And then they also threw out the rear seat and some other stuff. And then it's got a big carbon fiber wing on the back. The front fascia of all the SCs, like the last GT500, a lot more open area for breathing, so you can cool that engine down. There's a big carbon fiber vent in the hood of the car. The SC is about an inch wider. So it's got unique fenders, different from other Mustangs, because it's got more wider track. If you get the track pack, the trunk lid is also different. It has a little ducktail spoiler on it, and then there's a carbon fiber wing that stands above that. And the reason why they put the ducktail on there is they found that during their wind tunnel testing, they got a lot more downforce with that in there. While they were able to keep the carbon fiber wing at a reasonable angle, so it didn't completely obscure your view to the rear. And they say at 180 miles an hour, it generates 620 pounds of downforce. So, this is going to be a quick car. And then there's also going to be a limited edition version of the SC that has painted stripes on the hood and the deck lid. So not vinyl, but actually painted. So that means they got to take it off the main paint line, mask it, they spray those stripes, and then put it back in and do the clear coat. And on the last GT500, you had the option of either vinyl stripes or painted stripes. The painted stripes, it's a $10,000 option.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So most likely, I'm guessing that the limited edition Dark Horse SC is probably going to be somewhere around 130 grand with all that stuff on there. So it'll be a fast Mustang, but
it'll be a pricey Mustang.
It'll be an expensive Mustang. But people are having problems paying for food, but we have a really expensive cars coming out, so I'm really excited about that. The horse looks it looks more like a horse of the apocalypse. It looks more like it's bringing pestilence or plague.
Yeah.
It does not look like a fun horse. It is not, yeah.
Well, it is the Dark Horse.
I guess, yeah.
One interesting detail on the Dark Horse badging on the rear, they have some color options, some accent color options, including one that has that's teal. So you get teal painted brake calipers and seat belts and accent stitching on the seats, on the Recaro seats, and then on the perimeter of the Dark Horse badge and the eyes, it's painted in teal. And then, there's also a red package and there's a couple of others. So they actually did some cool stuff with the colors on the SC that won't be available on other Mustangs. And I had a chance to chat with Sarah Watson, who is the color and materials design manager for the Mustang. And so I'm going to drop that in here, and she explains some of the color choices. So we'll have that right now. I mean, I'm a big fan of bold colors on cars. I think the world has gone way too far towards monochromatic cars.
Put it in the sleep.
Yeah, I don't want any more black, white, or silver or gray. I want interesting colors. And I love seeing, especially adding accents like the teal. So, tell me what is the what was the driving force behind adopting the teal? What brought that up?
Yeah, so actually we had a lot of research and inspiration from our liveries on the track. So your GT3s, the way our drivers drive their cars in bold colors, you see the teal accent actually all the time. And as we have our standards, like with the reds, we put those two together and it came out this way. Yeah. So the teal tonic was like to be the loud aspect, and then the race was to be tried and true.
Yeah, because oftentimes on a race team, the cars might have the same livery, but you'll have different accents on the car so you can distinguish them quickly on the track. Yeah,
when I was looking at pictures, the teal just stood out.
Yeah.
It stood out. And then you dig deeper, and then like I had mentioned earlier, first gen Mustang had the I can't remember the name of it, but had a teal on there on the Boss 429. And so we took that and then used the inspiration there, put it on the seat belts, put it on the calipers, our accent stitching in the center line down on the car.
And I noticed on the Dark Horse badge on the back as well.
To signal that it's a track car.
Right. And then on the limited edition one, it's red instead of the...
Exactly. So it was like you had the best of both worlds. You talked to a variety of customers, one who loved the standard, loved the traditional, but then we even got like a little bit louder and bolder on those seats. But then with the track, we introduced like that next gen look. Yeah. And this is what we're going to be building off of even more. So this was just the intro.
So you're going to see more of that throughout the Mustang lineup?
More. Like people want to be loud and bold.
Yeah.
They want to be unapologetic.
Yeah.
And, this was one of those packages that delivered on that.
So for the limited edition, are the painted stripes standard on the limited edition?
Yes.
And what color combinations are you going to have on the limited edition? You get the black, obviously, with the red stripe.
The black with the red stripes, and then the Oxford white. So it comes in just 2 colors only.
Okay.
Again, to kind of have that symbolism of the checkered flag on the racetrack. So we did it in white and in black. On the white, you get also a standard black painted roof.
Okay.
Obviously, you can't see that on the Shadow Black car.
Yeah.
But that comes standard as well. So you have that whole sporty motif on the exterior that falls to the interior.
And so on the Oxford white, it's still the same red and gray painted stripe there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what other color combinations? You got this blue. What is there a name for this blue?
This is argon blue.
Argon.
So argon blue is a unique exterior color to Dark Horse SC.
Okay.
Our other colors will have the race red, black, white. There's also Adriatic teal that we pulled from Adriatic blue green. Sorry, that we pulled from the FX.
Okay.
So that's going to be on here. We have Orange Fury, Dark Matter Gray. It's a total of 9 colors.
Okay.
That we pulled from, again, our FX, our special cars, and then our base Mustang. Significantly coming from Frat.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. It was nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you. Okay, and we're back. And I also spoke with Arie Groeneveld, who is the chief program engineer for the Dark Horse SC at Ford Racing. And I talked to Arie a couple of years ago when they launched the Raptor, the Bronco Raptor, because he was the chief engineer on Bronco Raptor. And then after he finished that, he went over to work on Dark Horse SC. And so we'll drop that in here now. All right, talking with Arie Groeneveld, the chief platform engineer, program engineer, chief program engineer for all of Ford Racing or for the Dark Horse variants of Mustang, right?
Yeah, specifically, I'm the chief program engineer on the Dark Horse SC.
Okay.
Yep.
So the SC is the latest edition of the Mustang lineup. Kind of completes, kind of the type of lineup we've had in Mustang for probably since the late 90s, going from a base to GT, and then having something in the middle there. And then there, since at least the mid 2000s, we've had a supercharged one in there. And then, of course, now you've got the GTD way up the top of the lineup. So tell us about kind of how you see this Dark Horse SC fitting into that lineup, and why the move away from the Shelby branding that we had on S550 and
yeah. So let me address your first question. Between a base Dark Horse and a GTD, there's quite a bit of white space from a performance standpoint, and we took that as an opportunity to really address the success that Dark Horse has been having on the base program and how it's attracting more diverse, younger customers, and it's really resonating with them. So this is placed right in that white space. And obviously we push the team, and the team pushes themselves, quite frankly, to deliver as much as we could out of this car in that white space. So that was your first question.
Yeah. So, we've shifted on the last couple of generations away from the Shelby branding to Dark Horse R, Dark Horse SC.
Yeah.
And does that kind of change? Does that contribute, do you think, to some of that change in the customer base for this car or for this lineup of cars?
Your question is about whether or not
having a new branding, this Dark Horse branding, does that help with maybe changing the perception a little bit of these higher performance Mustangs and bringing in a new type of buyer?
I do think that's the case. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with the SC, what were your main targets in terms of evolving, moving to a new generation compared to what you had GT500 a few years ago? What were you trying to achieve and improve on this generation?
Yeah, so I think it's really about, as we become Ford Racing, you could see the lineage as we had on the screen, showing that we've got the race car variants of a Dark Horse, and then we have the production car side of Dark Horse. And really, we're trying to, what we're doing is we're sharing technology between the two, and there's that crossover between the two products. So, love Shelby, but that didn't make sense in that crossover between what we're doing on the race car side and the production car side, and that transfer of technology.
So what were some of the things you've done on this car, on the Dark Horse SC, to really bring it in line with the Ford racing ethos of the mid-2020s?
Yeah, so I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that we're tapping into all our motorsports experience. We went through like some of the exterior styling changes that were made, and how the design of the exterior was really formed by the function we needed.
Because you got quite a bit more downforce now, right?
We've got a lot of downforce on here. So whether it was GT3 and learning that we could take the lower grille further down and increase the open area, which we did, and compared to a base Dark Horse, that's 60% larger. We also opened up the outboard coolers. That's 100% larger than a base Dark Horse. Those were some learnings from track time. We've also learned from an efficiency standpoint that some of the tricks that our NASCAR teams were using to modify and optimize the exterior surface of the race cars, they were using 3D printed tiles and being able to go into the wind tunnel and quickly swap out those tiles.
So they're printing out sections of the front quarter or front section of the car.
Really, the A-pillar forward, they were able to print that out, and we thought that is a fantastic trick.
So you can go through a lot more iterations in a session.
You start off with like computational fluid dynamics, and that gets you to a point. That's a good starting point, but ultimately you have to go into a wind tunnel to dial it in and make sure you're there. And that trick allowed us to say, okay, we're going to change. We're going to try this, try this all in one session in the wind tunnel, and provide that feedback to design to say, this is what works best for us, and then have the conversation about what the trade-off is for the function. So obviously very focused on the function on this.
And in recent years, Ford has built new rolling road wind tunnels, full-scale wind tunnels. You've got some really interesting driver in the loop simulation capabilities.
Yes.
I assume all of that has been utilized in creating this, and that gets you closer, have better fidelity in your simulation.
We utilize all the simulation tools that we can. So, and as we tap into the motorsports side, as we're now one family of Ford Racing, we're able to bring that to bear. And the fact that the way we're structured, for example, like if I choose the powertrain chief engineer, like my counterpart from a functional standpoint, he's managing both the race cars as well as the production cars. So there's nothing lost between having the organizations not working so closely together. So we have access to all those tools, and we're finding, just like that NASCAR example, some tricks that we hadn't thought to do previously.
Are there things that were learned from the GTD program that were also brought into this? I mean, obviously we saw some of the visual elements in the cabin.
Yeah, so we would take this out testing with some of the race cars, as well as GTD would be on the track on some occasions with us as well. So as we're learning, for example, actually our ducktail spoiler, for example, we were out on the track. We realized that, hey, this is really contributing to increased downforce. It's effective. I said it's more than 10% increased downforce as a result. And that translated into...
And that's a different rear deck than you have on the standard Mustangs, right?
Correct.
Is that on the regular Dark Horse, or is that unique to the SC?
This is unique to the SC. It's actually unique to the SC track pack.
Okay.
Yeah, so we found that was very effective, and GTD ultimately took that same concept and put it on their vehicles.
Okay, so it's worked both ways.
Yes. So, and that's the intent. It's that sharing between hey, if there's something that we can learn from a production car side and translate that over to race, fantastic. It's a two-way street.
And one of the things you talked about was weight reductions, and particularly unsprung weight reductions. Can you talk a little bit about what's been done there?
Yeah, so on the track pack version of SC, like specifically in the corners, we've made carbon ceramic brakes available right from GTD. Mm-hmm. So between that, the Michelin Cup 2R tires, and the carbon fiber wheels, we're removing quite a bit of unsprung and rotational mass from the vehicle. So from a total vehicle perspective, we're removing 120 pounds of rotational unsprung mass, which is huge. Yeah. Translates in the ride, control, precision.
And the track pack also doesn't have a rear seat. There's no rear seat as well.
It has more of like a shelf.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Any other highlights of the SC that listeners to the podcast should be thinking about?
Sure. Yeah. I like the feature of the variable traction control.
Yeah.
So that's a lift from GTD, obviously calibrated separately for our vehicles.
Sure, because you've got different tires.
Yeah, because in the past, you've been able to say, all right, I'm going to go on or off, right? But when you have a car this capable and you want to push it, or if the environment is just maybe a little bit difficult to drive on, maybe a little slipperier than what we...
Depends what different tracks have different surfaces. Some have more grip, some have less.
Yeah, exactly. So you can go through a multitude of settings to control the traction control that you want. So it's not just environment, but it's also the customer's capability.
And that's just within track mode, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Corner to corner. Like as you went on the track, you want something different for one corner versus another.
So can you control that from the steering wheel, I guess?
No, it'd be through the center stack button, and then it'd bring up a pop-up, and you can select.
Okay, so yeah, you probably don't want to be messing around with that while you're going corner to corner.
Correct. I thought, is the changing the levels of the VCC different on this versus GTD?
The pop-up comes up from the center stack.
Right, and then
you could toggle through the steering wheel selections. Yeah, so you'd have to hit center stack, and then it'd pop up. And then
so probably not quite as advanced as what you've got at GTD, but then again,
it's very similar.
Well, I mean, in terms of the interface,
I think it's probably the same.
No, it's the same. It's the same.
Yeah. Okay.
So, all right. That was on me.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Arie.
You bet.
Good to talk to you.
It's good to talk to you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I just realized we did talk before in Chicago when I think it was when the Everglades. Raptor. Is it the Raptor or the Everglades?
Yeah,
it's the Raptor. Yeah. Yeah, we spoke there. So. All right, we're back. And so that's the Dark Horse SC. The probably second most expensive Mustang ever.
Save up them quarters, people.
Yeah, you're going to need a lot of them.
So many quarters.
You're going to need a lot.
And then after we were done looking at the Mustang, they took us over into another part of the building where we got to see the new Bronco RTR. So RTR is Vaughn Gittin Jr.'s company. And last fall, they introduced a Mustang RTR that his crew helped develop. And now they have a Bronco RTR. There's actually been a Bronco RTR available for a while now, but the way they did those were purchased by RTR pre-title from Ford. So they got shipped from Ford's factory to RTR's facilities, where they got a bunch of upgrades, including different wheels and tires, suspension upgrades, and assortment of other stuff. And you can still buy that one, and that one's called the RTR Spec edition. But now they're actually going to also do these in the factory here in Michigan, where they build Broncos, and it's slightly different spec. With the spec version that you get from RTR, you can customize it more. So there'll be a little bit less customization available with this one, but it's got the graphics, the 35-inch wheels and tires, the lime green beadlock rings on the wheels. That is, that's kind of RTR's signature color, and a bunch of other stuff. These are all powered by the 2.3 liter 4-cylinder EcoBoost. and it has the anti-lag system that Ford developed for this, which basically means that when you are off-roading, and anti-lag only comes into play when you're driving off-road. What it does is when you take your foot off the accelerator, it actually keeps the throttle open slightly, so it allows air to keep flowing through. It just cuts off fuel to the cylinders. It allows the air to keep flowing through, so it keeps the turbo spinning. So that as soon as you get back on the accelerator, it's generating boost more almost immediately instead of waiting, so you don't have that lag.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Does it say how much this is in here? I'm scrolling, or is it a mystery? I don't think they give you pricing on this yet, right?
They did talk about pricing, and give me a second, and I will find it.
Oh, sure. Okay. Because I'm looking through the release, and I don't see it. It looks awesome. I think it's funny that Ford's going with all these, like, neon things, like the blue on the Mustang we were just looking at, and the green here, and then they did the same thing on the Maverick Lobo, has, like, lime accents in it and stuff. We're, like, channeling our inner 80s child with some of these colors.
Yeah,
it looks
exactly.
cool, but it is very 80s. Everything new is old again. Everything old is new again. Is that the saying?
Pretty much, yeah. So the RTR spec that RTR themselves build runs close to $100,000, and this is going to be significantly less than that. It's gonna be cheaper than the Bronco Raptor, which they actually recently reduced the price on the Bronco Raptor, and it now starts at about only about $90,000, I think. Yeah, they didn't tell us the specific price for the RTR, but I think it's going to be somewhere around $70,000.
I mean, it's a lot, but that'd be really cool for that. I bet people will be excited about that. The hardcore off-road. The thing is, I think what's fun about these is that someone's going to buy it who's like, yeah, I do this on the weekends. I'm going to use every single feature they've got in this. And then, the other 99% is like, never going to use any of this, but look how cool my thing looks. Like most people don't use it all. And if, you know what, you don't have to if you like how something looks, but I want to I think it's neat that there's going to be somebody out there who's going to do that when we're going to get pictures on the internet of them blasting through the desert. That one guy.
So the Bronco Raptor is now starts at $79,995 plus destination. So about 81 or 82,000. So I think the RTR is gonna start just under 70, I think.
That's cool. That'll be fun. People will love it.
All right. So let's get back to stupidly fast cars. The Chevy Corvette ZR1X. It's a little bit quicker than that Defender Octa you were driving.
Mm-hmm.
It has 1,250 horsepower.
It has slightly more horsepower too.
Yeah, so
just a skosh.
It's 1,064 horsepower from the twin turbo 5.5 liter V8, and then it's also got a couple hundred horsepower from the electric motor driving the front wheels. So it's all wheel drive. So last fall, a couple of months ago, the Corvette engineering team took a ZR1X, production spec ZR1X, to the US 131 Raceway. It's a drag strip here in Michigan, to do some performance testing. This thing is insanely fast. 0 to 6, quarter mile time. They're by the end of the day, they did 2 days of testing. By the end of the second day, they were down to a quarter mile time of 8.675 seconds.
That's insane.
Yeah. And the trap speed was, I think, 159.6 miles an hour.
And they do have the 0 to 60 on there. It's 1.68 seconds.
Yes.
Not even 2 seconds, 1.68 seconds, 0 to 60. That's madness. It's wonderful madness, but it's absolutely madness.
Oh yeah, no one needs that on the road.
But man,
and remember, this is on a prep track, like
right.
Yeah, so it's a real drag strip. Yeah, and this is with the rollout and everything. Yeah, so I mean, this was totally optimal conditions. But even
still,
even just on regular pavement, this car. Because it's all-wheel drive and you've got, a couple hundred horsepower driving the front wheels. So you're going to get, even as the turbos are spooling up and everything, you're going to get instant response from the front, and by the time you've used that up, the engine's going to be kicking in and you're just going to be flying down the quarter mile. You're probably still going to easily, on regular pavement, you'll probably be able to get, 10-second quarter mile times.
Yeah.
Which is just ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. Now, that is that's one of the fastest quarter miles ever recorded for a road legal production car. In fact, I think it might be the fastest that's been published for for a stock internal combustion vehicle. They show a table on the press release page. There's only 2 cars that went faster than that, and they're both EVs. The Rimac Navara R and the Pininfarina Battista. The Rimac went 7.9 seconds at 186 miles an hour, and the Battista went 8.55 seconds at 155 miles an hour. And those are cars that cost a couple of $1 million.
Yeah. This is, you get four of these or...
Price-wise, the only thing that's like close is and they're pretty, they're so close you wouldn't know the difference if you were sitting in the stands ever. You would never, it'd be a photo finish as the Lucid Air Sapphire, which is an EV.
Yeah. The ZR1X base price is for 2026 $212,195. So this is half the price of a Mustang GTD. And it is way, way faster. And it has a trunk that you can fit a paddleboard into.
There you go.
Which you can't do on a Mustang GTD. The GTD has no trunk.
So that's a major detraction.
Yeah,
it is a major.
So you can't take your paddleboard with you in the GTD. You can the ZR1X.
Because that's totally what I'd use my ZR1X for. Is to
go to the lake.
Definitely, it's kind of a lake adventuresome car. Forget a Subaru. Let's get this.
It's all-wheel drive.
It's
what more could you ask for?
It's essentially just a Subaru. If it's all-wheel drive, it's a Subaru.
Basically. Take your dogs to the vet, take your dogs to the lake.
I took Bowie, he's the German Shepherd, in the BRZ to the vet, and he didn't want to sit in the back because those seats are horrible. And so he sat in the front, but he's just a little bit too big, so he kept trying to put his paws both his paws on the seat, and he looked really weird. So he had to put his paws on the ground. And so when we came out of the vet, he got in the car, and I was texting my wife, and some guy was walking by, and he's just sitting there in this front seat, and the guy was just looking at us.
So Nicole, you could still get a ZR1X.
I mean, I could. $209,700 is only slightly higher than what I had in my. I'd have to stretch just the tiniest of bits,
and of course, you want to get some winter tires for it.
Yeah,
so you've got all-wheel drive.
I mean,
you just need some winter tires.
It's unfortunate I don't have that to drive tomorrow when we get half a foot of snow, because that's going to be better than the Defender I have sitting here. Faux show.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Throw some Blizzaks on there.
Right? And it'll be totally fine.
All right. Let's see. Honda did a business update this week, and one of the things that they announced is that they are ending production of the current generation Acura RDX. That because they've got the new RSX coming this year, which for at least temporarily is going to take the RDX's place. It's a similar sized vehicle, but it's electric. And it's going to kind of take the place of the RDX in the lineup for now. But they do have a new RDX coming at some future date that they did not specify. But the next gen RDX will be a hybrid. And it's going to be the hybrid system that we got to try out when we were in Japan in October. So it's their new platform, which I talked about back in early November after I came back from Japan, which is an interesting new platform for their larger utilities and trucks and vans and so on, that has a little bit of flex built into it, to allow for, they claim, better road grip. Certainly seemed to work on the prototype that we drove, and it's a new version of their hybrid system that has 2 sets of final drive gears, so that at higher speeds they can pick from the 2 different ratios, and that will they'll have a broader range of where they can run the engine at higher speeds to get better overall energy efficiency. So that's coming. We'll probably see it sometime in 2027 as a 2028 model.
Cool.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Honda also announced that they've developed a new lightweight camper trailer called the Base Station.
Okay, I think this looks cool. I love how this looks. I want one.
You could fill it with moto compactos and have a gang.
Look how cute it is. Like it's like it looks like it's a little it's just the cutest looking thing, and then the way it opens up, where it gets so you can stand it. It has this huge.
It's got a pop top.
Yeah,
like,
it's got
like
a pop
an old
top.
VW van,
and it has like a lift gate. Like the door opening isn't just a door; it's this huge lift gate, so it'll be super easy to get in and out of. You won't have to be slamming a door all the time. I love it. I love how this looks.
If you're camping and it's like raining,
yeah,
you can get under there. You can be under that lift gate.
Exactly.
And like take off your muddy shoes or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and then get into the vehicle without getting rained on, which is nice.
I kind of think this is cool.
Yeah, and they kept the interior. This thing only weighs 1,500 pounds. So
they say a CRV could tow this, which is incredible. It doesn't have to you don't have to have like a great big 3-row or a truck or something. The CRV.
And the images they released, have it behind the new Zero SUV, and with the top down, it's just barely taller than the Zero SUV. So you're not going to have nearly as much aerodynamic drag as you would with a larger trailer. So it's going to have a lot less impact on the range of an EV. But yeah, I mean, the ability to tow this thing with something like a CRV or an RDX, would be really cool. And then
I would like something like this. This is cool.
The interior, is deliberately kept kind of wide open. There's sort of a bed that normally can be a bench, but it can fold down as well to be a bed for 2. And then they've got it set up so you can add a second bunk up in the pop top area, so it can sleep up to 4 people. It's got a nice low loading floor. It's modular, so you can put all kinds of different things into it. It's a slick design. I like the design of it.
It has this very futuristic, curvy, cool design. I think it looks great. I really do think it looks good. So it doesn't look like a typical camper. It makes me think of, what was it, Lost in Space, with their little vehicle they had. I think it was Lost in Space. That's what it makes me think of.
So there's no word on pricing on this yet, or even when it's going to come out. My guess is probably not, certainly not before next year. 2027 at the earliest.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be curious to see how they price it, because there are some other small lightweight trailers, some of which are pretty expensive. Like some friends of ours have one from a company called Hampshire Camper, that is kind of similarly sized to this, actually probably smaller than this, and that thing was like $55,000.
Campers can be really expensive. They're not a cheap buy. Yeah.
So hopefully Honda makes this a little more affordable.
I don't know. I feel like that would make sense if you're making a small little camper and you want it to be something that, people are going to be able to haul around with the CRV, it should not be something that's outrageously expensive.
Yeah.
That's not the price point of the CRV owner.
Well, our friends with their Happier camper, they tow it with an Odyssey, Honda Odyssey.
Nice.
Okay. There you go.
All right. Let's talk Stellantis.
Hey,
So-
the website's working.
Is it working
nice.
again? All right. So first up for Stellantis, after they paused importation of the Tonale for a while last year, it's back again, the Alfa Romeo Tonale, but it's no longer available with the plug-in hybrid system. So that's another one that they've dropped the plug-in hybrid from. So it's just the 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder. It got a refresh this year, a styling refresh, so new front end. But the Tonale's sibling, the Dodge Hornet, is dead. It is no more.
Womp womp.
You could
I don't think
probably still
anybody's
get one for
surprised.
quite a while. I think there's still quite a few of them sitting on dealer lots because it was not a great seller.
No, it wasn't. Unfortunately, it was an interesting idea, but it was not the target market for ye olde Dodge owners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't quite fit the Dodge muscle
No.
aesthetic.
No, Brotherhood of Muscle thing did not
Not
quite fit that.
Not big enough to squeeze a Hemi into, so it's out of there.
Exactly.
But Nicole, you and I sat down at the auto show with Tim Kuniskis.
We did.
What did you think?
I mean, it's always fun interviewing Tim because I feel like you could just put your microphone in front of him and say, "So, how's it going?" and not ask a single other question if you didn't feel like it. And you'd have a straight half hour of Tim just riffing on everything. I thought it was interesting talking to him. He's probably one of the most blunt executives. I don't know how many times did you have to beep him? Do we have a
Actually, when I went back and looked at it, there were none. I could have sworn
Are
there were
you
some
sure?
F-bombs in there. I have to
I was
listen to
gonna
it again.
I would listen to it again because I'm pretty
Just
sure
from the
that there were
transcript,
some,
there wasn't anything in
there were
there.
a few
He has
little.
F-bomb energy. That's what's...
He always
Yeah.
has F-bomb energy, which is
Yeah.
not a bad thing. And it was interesting talking to him and hearing what he thinks the strategy is for the different brands in the U.S. for Jeep, for Chrysler, for Dodge, for Ram. Sorry, I suddenly forgot what brands we're talking about. I thought it was an interesting conversation, and I think he did a very good job of being confident that they have the right strategy and that you don't need to have more. He has a talk in there where he talks about the number of trucks he has and the number of vehicles that are in Chrysler's lineup. So Chrysler is the Pacifica.
Yes.
That's Chrysler. And he's like, well, arguably, we really don't have, the trucks, I'm like, well, no, you have a lot of different kinds of trucks. Truly. And it's not like they have 18 flavors of the Pacifica. They got like one, so he has some, he's going hard on, they have the right mix. They've done the right things. They've done the right stuff with pricing. So I thought it was interesting. What did you think, Sam?
Yeah, because Stellantis sells all 4 brands in the same showrooms. It's not like with GM, for example, where you've got Chevrolet dealerships and GMC dealerships and Buick dealerships and Cadillac dealerships, where you can have a little bit of overlap because they're in different stores. They're not in the same physical location. Stellantis, you've got all 4 brands in one location.
Mm-hmm.
And so, one of the things he talked about was not necessarily having to have every body style, every type of vehicle in each brand. Because you don't necessarily want the same crossover as a Chrysler and as a Dodge, or a Jeep. There needs to be some distinction between them. So it sounds like he's still, at least for the time being, committed to all 4 brands. We'll see how that evolves, particularly with Chrysler over the next couple of years. But the other thing that they're focused on right now is ramping up the Hemi production, especially in the trucks. I think he talked about last year they got 30,000 Ram 1500 Hemis built, about 10,000 of them delivered to customers. This year they're targeting 100,000. And between the 5.7 Hemi and the Hellcat in the TRX, that's their priority for Ram for the moment. And so, between the conversation with Tim and talking to some other folks, the Ram Rev, the E-Rev version is not going to be coming till sometime in the second half of the year after they launch the TRX. And then there's also the Wagoneer, the Grand Wagoneer E-Rev that's going to be coming. That's also going to be sometime in the second half of the year. Basically, they're trying not to launch too many things simultaneously. They're staggering things so that they can, and he's talked about this before, they want to focus on the quality and getting these things built right, instead of trying to do too many things at once. So it was an interesting conversation. And of course, we only had ultimately about 17 minutes with Tim. They had 20-minute time slots because everybody wanted to talk to Tim because he was one of the only. He and Antonio Filosa were the only among the only executives available at the show, and Tim is unlike most executives. I was having a conversation with somebody from GM, who had asked, would you help to have more conversations with Mary Barra? I said, to be honest with you, no, not really. Because I was at a fireside chat with her on Monday afternoon that she did with Kaylee Hall from Reuters for Automotive Press Association event. And, it was about 40 minutes conversation and really didn't get much new out of it. And the thing I told, the GM PR person is, got a lot of respect for Mary, but, she has been at this a while. She's very well trained, media trained. She is very much on message all the time. You are almost never going to get surprises from talking to Mary Barra in public.
Well, and I think, there's a point that's good, right? Because you don't want your executive team going off the handle and
right.
saying crazy things, and they need to still be professional, but it also can make for really boring interviews when you can't get any, like there's a line between I'm making sure I'm towing the party line and I'm not saying anything completely untoward or that's going to make people angry, and still being more human and having a little fun with things and being a little bit more. And Mary's so on message. She really is, and she's great. But it's the message. It's so in a box that it's hard to have a really unique or interesting conversation with her sometimes.
Well, let's start with the big question. Tim, what's your vision for Stellantis in North America, besides Hemis and Hellcats?
So that's probably a question you should be asking Antonio.
Okay.
He's the COO of North America.
Okay.
I work on the brands. I could tell you what my vision is for the brands.
Well, what
we're doing on the brands.
So what do you want to see from the brands?
Well, your question was very high level, very like, what are you going to do to change the company? Not my pay grade. His.
Well,
Go talk to him. But on the brands, I think we're doing some fun stuff, most of which we honestly haven't materialized in the marketplace yet. If I look back at last year, most of the stuff that I said we were going to do and announced we were going to do looks like unfulfilled promises. I call last year kind of the dog year. It was almost like 7 years in one because we did so much shit, but it doesn't look like most of that has materialized. We launched 4 new Jeeps in 4 months. It's crazy. I don't think in the 33 years of it doing this, I don't think we've ever done that kind of a cadence of launched 4 new products in 4 months. They're literally just arriving at dealerships right now. So even though we talked about it for 6 freaking months, we're just now starting to get there. Hemi's a great example. We launched Hemi. I don't even know how the headline of 10,000 orders in one day became this like huge thing. I mean, you sell 500,000 trucks, 10,000 it's not a crazy number. I mean, it's a great number, but it's not like game changing. It took on a life of its own. But the reality is we launched Hemi and everyone's super excited. Me too. Everybody's excited, to bring back that choice for the customer. But the reality is we shut down the Hemi line. Even though we announced it and we brought it back, we had to bring the Hemi line back up to speed. We had to deprioritize
the engine's production.
Yeah, the production line. We had to deprioritize the T6 to bring the Hemi back up and all these things. But the reality is, the reason I'm telling you that story is we, in that whole time period, which took 50,000 orders, we only built 30,000. And by the time they got to dealerships, we only sold 10,000. So Ram sales were up last year, retail to customers, 50,000 units increase. up 17%. Only 10,000 more Hemis. I only tell you that not to say, hey, we could have done better. I tell you that to say, we only built 30,000 last year. We're going to build over 100,000 this year, 3x what we did last year. So all that work that we did is just starting to come to fruition. We made all this noise with NASCAR. We haven't even raced yet. We're going to race at Daytona for the first time. So we haven't been there yet. We talked about the TV show. The TV show hasn't launched yet. We talked about Free Agent. Free Agent hasn't launched yet. TRX. We launched TRX. You're not going to be able to buy it until the summer. So what I'm saying is, last year we built the foundation. Tons of work. Just starting to see it come now. And one of the things that we're doing, your question specifically, what are you going to do on the brands, is we're trying to widen the scope of the brands. And you see the announcement we made, the $13 billion. $13 billion ties back perfectly to your question because it helps us expand the scope of our brands. Within the $13 billion, we're going to increase the capacity of Cherokee and Compass. One of the things that we've been constrained on is production capacity. The reason that we didn't sell a lot of units to fleet last year for truck, we didn't have the capacity. Sterling Heights was really strangled. Hemi was not helping. T6 had to come down while we were ramping up Hemi. So we didn't have the production. That's going to get fixed. We're bringing in T4 to Kokomo. That's going to give us more engine availability. Within the $13 billion, we announced that we're going into Toledo to build the midsize truck, which we desperately need a midsize truck because we used to have the most successful midsize truck of all time. In 2019, when we were killing it with Ram. But we didn't have a Dakota 19. We had the DS Classic truck. The DS Classic truck sold for $40,000, which is the price of a midsize truck, but with a full-size truck. It was an absolute game changer. I need to get back to that with the Dakota. And then we're going to bring in what I think is going to be another big enabler for us is a Ram full-size utility vehicle in Warren. We were the only ones in the industry trying to go into that very lucrative segment with only one offering, and we were trying to spread a gap of $50,000 with one brand. No one's ever done that.
Wagoneer, it was too big of a gap per wagon.
No one's ever done that successfully, crossed $50,000 with, okay, we call it a Wagoneer Grand Regular. Let's be honest, it was the same car, right? So you don't have enough woods, leathers, and sunroofs to justify a value walk of $50,000. So now we're going to do it like everybody else. You know, GM's got 3, a Chevy, a GMC, and a Cadillac. Ford's got Ford and Lincoln. We're going to come with our Ram version and our Jeep version. And then your next question is going to be, oh, so Ram's going to be the cheap one and Jeep's going to be the expensive one? No, it's going to be 2 different customers. It's one of the value of our company is we have one showroom with 4 different brands with 4 different positionings, and we can appeal to different customers within those positionings. It's no different than what we did. And I know it sounds like that's corporate bullshit, but just look back at history. We did this successfully with the muscle cars. Well, I shouldn't say that. We did this successfully with Brampton. You had a Charger 4-door and you had a 300 4-door. They were the same car. Mm-hmm. They appealed to 2 completely different customers. It wasn't cheap and expensive. It was 2 different customers. They didn't cross shop and they successfully existed in the marketplace in the same showroom. We can do that in the very lucrative UV market as well. So that's a couple of things that we're doing to expand the scope of the brands, which I think is going to be our growth potential. Because right now we're competing in 55% of the industry. When you look at all of our sales across all of our brands, yeah, we sold just the American brands, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram. We sold 1.8 billion units last year. 1.8 is freaking a lot of cars. It's 55% of the industry. When I bring on all those other product lines, I'm going to go up to 75% of the industry. My long range plan is going to go beyond 75% of the industry. That's where the growth is going to be.
I think it's going to take you to get to that 75.
The 75 is going to be within the next 2 years.
You're not quick.
Yeah.
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 How much will the Dakota, the new truck, slay into your numbers for Ram?
It will be very important to us because if you look at the light duty truck is about 1.5 million units, and it is the battleground in the industry. Not only is it, the most lucrative and all the domestics have to live and die in that segment, it's 1.5 million units. The midsize is, everybody talks about affordability and cost of vehicles and everything. Well, a midsize truck today is the same size as a full-size truck was 15 years ago. Well, the shit you're carrying around hasn't got, significantly larger. So a midsize truck can appeal to a lot of people. The industry, by the time we bring the Dakota in the market, will be 500,000 units. And it will grow to 700,000 units from there. So it'll be half the size of what we consider the battleground today.
Well, I mean, Tacoma alone last year was 278,000 units.
Amazing, isn't it? Amazing. Yeah. So now I put that one in a little bit of a different space than I put the domestic midsize trucks.
Why?
It's been there longer. It's got kind of a cult following. It's just a little bit of a different beast.
Do you think your Dakota to have the same cult following?
We're gonna do a very unique positioning of Dakota. Number one, it's going to be a real credible, a lot of capability vehicle. It's going to be body on frame, which it needs to be to transition to light duty truck. I don't want to tell you any more about it, but I think our positioning of it is pretty cool. The people that have seen it were pretty shocked. They're like, "Oh, that's just like fits up, right?"
Technically, you've had a midsize truck with Gladiator. Does Gladiator stick around with Dakota? I mean, obviously that's very different.
It's in the segment, but in hindsight, should we have called Gladiator or Wrangler? Probably. Quite frankly, if we did, we sold 250,000 if you had Gladiator and Wrangler together, and nobody would be sending out a press release yesterday on the RTR, which is a sticker package saying that they beat Wrangler, because they did. If you include my one that has a bet on it, we kicked their ass. But whatever, it is what it is. The reality is, though, does that compete with Colorado Canyon and Tacoma?
Yeah.
It's not really cross shop with it. It's more of a Wrangler. It has all the functionality of a midsize truck. It can cross shop with a midsize truck. It absolutely can. But it's different. It's, with the solid axle in the front, it attracts more of a Wrangler buyer than it does a midsize truck buyer. And we'll keep that, by the way.
Okay.
We'll absolutely keep it, because I think it's gonna be like Chrysler, and it's gonna be like the 300 Charger. It's gonna be two completely different customers. We're gonna execute it completely different.
Okay. So you mentioned Chrysler. Yeah. What's going on with Chrysler? What's the future of that brand? I've heard a lot of different things over the last several years.
I think it's been since like 2011 or something like that I was working. I think it was 2011 actually that I was working at Chrysler. And that question has been the exact same question forever, ever since the days when Chrysler had PT Cruiser and Sebring and had like the bigger lineup. That question has come up over and over and over again. What's going to happen with Chrysler? What are you going to do with Chrysler? Are you going to shut down Chrysler? Do you need Chrysler? The reality is, if I looked at each of these brands and tried to treat them as a showroom, yeah, you could make that. Hell, you can make that case outright. Because if you call a light duty truck and a heavy duty truck a truck, okay, one vehicle. Okay, I have ProMaster in it. I got one vehicle and a commercial vehicle, right? So you can make the same case. The reason you don't make the case is because you go, oh, wait a minute. You sold 550,000 of those, so I'm not going to ask you that. Of course, that makes sense. But Chrysler, you go, oh, you sold 125,000 of those. You need that brand? You need that brand because you're in a showroom that's a house of brands. I have 4 different brands in the same showroom. I don't need to have a pickup person. I don't need to have a pickup truck per person. Now, could I expand Chrysler? Yes. The reason I could expand Chrysler is each of these brands has a very unique positioning. There are a large number of people in the industry, 17 million unit industry, and we sell, 1.8 million of the North American brands. That 1.8 billion, by the way, was global. So 1.4 in North America. So 1.4 out of the 14 million, 17 million unit total in North America. It's still quite small. But within that population that we don't get, there is a huge population of people that don't need to go off-road. Whether they go off-road or just think that they will someday maybe have the capability to go off-road, there's a huge number of people that could care less about that. There's a huge number of people that could care less about doing a burnout and want a muscle car. And there's a huge population of people that, I don't know how to tow a boat. I don't care. I don't need to put anything in the bed of my truck. I don't need that. They need transportation. They need cool, reliable transportation. And within our house of brands, this brand is never going to be for that customer. This brand, if we do it right, this brand's never going to be for that customer. This brand's never. So what do? Do I ignore them? No. So can I grow? Yeah, sure. I can sell cars too. But is it my number one priority today? No. So when we get there,
priority.
Huh?
What is your number one?
No, the number one priority is where the money is. Brand and cheap. This is my volume. This is my money. This is my fun. And this is going to be something that we have capability to grow in the future. Absolutely.
Okay. So, we put a call to our listeners for what they would want to hear from you. Yeah. And one of the questions was about affordability. And somebody also asked, back when the other guy was still in charge, he talked about bringing a new $25,000 Jeep, a new Rampage or Renegade to the lineup. Is that still part of the plan?
So affordability is a tough subject because you can have this conversation with every industry. You know, ever since COVID changed everything. Ever since COVID, the price, everything's gone up from Coca-Cola to cars, right? The challenge is the entire industry. I mean, you're seeing it right now. The industry is taking huge write-offs and taking huge write-offs because everybody is deprioritizing electrification, but yet we invested $500 billion in this. So everybody's taking these huge write-offs. So at the same time, you're taking huge write-offs. So you're going to see everybody announcing, "Oh, we're going to cut prices $10,000." That's impossible. You can't take billions and billions and billions of dollars of write-offs and then go, "Oh, by the way, I'm going to cut the price." But what you can do, and you see us doing it, and we literally just did it on Jeep. So we did a plan called the Jeep Reset. What we did is we didn't say, "Hey, we're going to cut the price of Jeeps." We said, "We're going to make Jeep more Jeep. We're going to give you more value." If you look across the Jeep lineup, we just added about $4,000 of customer value to all of our Jeeps on average. That's a similar thing to add or to cutting the price, because we took features that people wanted and we lower the price. 35-inch wheels are now $3,000 instead of $5,500. Is that a $2,500 price cut? No, but everybody wanted it anyway, so it kind of is a price cut. So I can give you more value without cutting the price and give you more Jeep at the same time. So that is adding value. I think that is something we need to do a better job in the industry. We did it on TRX. Nobody talks about it on TRX because you go, "Oh, it's $99,000. Yeah, it's a freaking ton of money, but
A lot cheaper than a Raptor R.
it's $15,000 cheaper than Raptor R, and it's $25,000 cheaper than the outgoing model, and it's on the new platform, so it adds more technology and more features. So now you get more value, more features, and a lower price. But okay, it's still $100,000, so I mean, it's not like it's an affordability issue. But the more that we can do that, the better. Look at the Dodge. Everybody looks at Dodge. "Oh my God, they're expensive." Well, is it? 420 horsepower, all-wheel drive. Now with the new hatchback design, I've got more functionality. I've got 420 horsepower standard, and I've got all-wheel drive, and I'm $49,985. Go back in time and look at what you got at that performance level, what the price is. It's less expensive than it was previously, faster than it was previously at the first. Fact. Absolutely a fact. The all-wheel drive in that car gives you the capability of having it all-weather everywhere. In the Midwest, it doesn't have to be a toy. You can drive it as an everyday car. So I got that. I also have performance. Now a 550 horsepower T6 with all-wheel drive will beat a Hellcat. So I'm giving you more and more value.
So Nick is poking me and telling me I have one more question. So I want to ask a question. So when we were talking about the electrification strategy is completely changing for every automaker out there who's got rid of the PHEVs, and that you're introducing a new vehicle with a Recon and Jeep. Do you think that's what people want?
The Jeep?
Yeah. Like the Recon, is that the pull off the doors and go off road?
The question is the definition of people. It's very vague. A percentage of people that the use case works. Electrification is amazing. You guys have driven tons of electric cars.
Yeah.
So
She's the only one.
you have a perspective that the average customer does not have. Most customers that are opposed to electrification never driven a lot. But in a lot of cases, they don't need to, because they know that it doesn't fit their use case. They know that they live in an apartment. They don't have access to charge at night. Or they know where they live, there is no infrastructure for charging. Or they know, quite frankly, it's too expensive. Or they know I need to tow my boat, and I've read the stats, and it won't tow my boat, and with the cold weather, and all this things. Problem is, the industry wanted to go to 50, 60+% electrification adoption. Customer pull for electrification is probably more in the sub 10% range. Now, will that 10% grow as we get better? Yeah. But the cost of batteries got to come down. The weight's got to come down. The overall price of the car's got to come down. The infrastructure got to come down. The question is, when's that going to happen? We were trying to make it happen in 1 year. Is that going to happen in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? I don't know. But eventually it will happen, and we will get to that 50, 60%. I just don't know if it's going to be 3 years or 10 years. And that's why
it's not going to be 2030. That's for sure.
That's why you see everybody writing down these huge investments, because they have warehouses full of batteries, and they're like, I'm not going to be able to use those in the next 24 months. It's not going to happen. But we will get there.
Okay.
I fully believe that we will get.
One last quick one. Is he going to bring back a Rampage?
It's a good car. Looks
Yeah.
good. Drives good. I like it.
Okay. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah. Well, as I said, we weren't the only ones to talk to Tim. There's also Alyssa Priddle from Motor Trend also sat down with him. And I'll have a link in the show notes to her story. But one of the things that she talked to him about was putting a Hemi in the new Charger. And of course the Charger's available as an electric now, or with the 3-liter Hurricane 6-cylinder. And basically Tim told her that, probably not going to get the 5.7 in the Charger, because first of all, compared, you get 550 horsepower with the Hurricane. The Hemi is only 395 horsepower, and the Charger's standard all-wheel drive. So it makes it hard to package that engine in there with the all-wheel drive system in the front. And it's just not really worth it. If they're going to do anything with a V8 in there, it's probably going to be a Hellcat rather than the standard Hemi. And even that, he remained somewhat non-committal on. So I'll have that link in the show notes as well. But as far as our conversation goes, covered a fair amount of stuff in 17 minutes. But he did confirm, Dakota built in Toledo, which was previously announced, but he also confirmed that the Gladiator is not going away. There is going to be a next generation Gladiator that is built on the same platform in Toledo, but that the customer base for the Ram Dakota and the Jeep Gladiator, even though they're similar size and nominally both mid-size pickup trucks, totally different customer base.
Yeah.
And so, the Gladiator is going to be, very different vehicle from the Dakota.
Yeah, so it makes sense to have both vehicles because small trucks, but entirely different small trucks. So it makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So that is everything I think we have for Stellantis. So there was also some big news the other day from Beijing. Mark Carney, the relatively new Prime Minister of Canada, went to Beijing this week to talk to the Chinese leader Xi Jinping, and came back with a signed trade deal that will see tariffs on Canadian products going into China substantially reduced. So they get to sell their canola oil and all kinds of other products at almost no tariff in China. And in return, Canada is dropping the tariffs on Chinese-built EVs from 100% to just 6% for at least 49,000 units a year. And so lower-cost Chinese EVs are going to start turning up in Canada in the not-too-distant future, probably.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Yes.
And then there was a follow-up story, again, not really a surprise to those of us, follow the industry. But Canada wants to have Chinese companies building their EVs in Canada. And sure. I think it's only a matter of time, probably within the next 6 to 12 months, that we hear the first announcements of probably BYD, but maybe Geely or somebody else building a factory or taking over a factory in Canada, because there's some stuff that is available, like Stellantis' Brampton, Ontario plant near Toronto, which was supposed to build the new Compass, and that's going to be built in Illinois now, and so there's a factory there that's not likely to be used anytime in the foreseeable future. The GM Cami plant near Ingersoll that was building the Bright Drop electric vans, that's not being used. I think it's only a matter of time before there's a deal for some Chinese company to build EVs in Canada.
Yeah, it's the first big foothold for China here, and that's in North America, and it's a big deal. I wouldn't be surprised either to hear an announcement about a factory following very quickly after.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, well,
Canadians, Canadian automakers, the people who work in those factories are like, oh, okay, well, we can't do that now because these, the U.S. companies pulled out. And so they're like, oh, well, China's like, yeah, we'll build some cars there. They're like, all right, cool.
Yeah. If you guys want to buy them, we'll build them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, Mexico doesn't have any Chinese factories yet, Chinese assembly plants yet. But 20% of Chinese sales, or 20% of vehicle sales in Mexico last year in 2025 were from Chinese brands. So they've already got a significant chunk of the Mexican market. And so, this is, I wrote a blog, a post on the telemetry blog the other day. This could be an existential threat for the Detroit auto industry. If they continue to just, to keep building stuff like big V8 pickups and SUVs, they are going to be increasingly irrelevant everywhere outside of the United States borders. And between that and the antagonism that's being built up against the United States because of certain policies here, people in other countries don't want to buy U.S. products regardless of what they are.
Yeah.
And so that's going to make it really tough, if the U.S., if Ford, GM, Stellantis don't continue to invest and develop, competitive products, including electrified vehicles, but also smaller, more affordable vehicles. They've got to have stuff that is competitive in the rest of the world, and if they don't, they're going to be stuck with just the U.S. market and nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big market, but also
maybe Greenland.
Maybe Greenland. It's a big market, but also it's they have facilities, and they have cars, and they have people who work in all these other countries, and if you don't keep up, if you continue to sort of like, well, let's just keep throwing Hemis and everything, that does not look well in the rest. That's not going to help you in other countries, and yeah, womp womp.
Yeah.
Essentially, sad trombone. Womp womp.
All right, and then finally, there was a story that was on. I found it. It turned up in my search that has your byline on it, Nicole, along with Nick Miles, about the cars being up to $6,400 more expensive than before.
Yeah, I'm doing some work with Nick and with Test Miles, and this was actually the first story I wrote.
Yay!
Yeah, woohoo! So and basically it's talking about the prices of new cars and the impacts of what's made it pricier. And is it your imagination that you're walking into the dealership and you think, man, these all seem more expensive, and it's not. Like, there was this independent analysis by this company, and they found that between tariffs and all these different things that are happening, average price of a new vehicle is up about 13.5%, which is about $6,400 price bump. That, and it's $6,400 that shows up in your monthly payment and does make your new car a little bit more expensive. It's not just the EV tax credit, that was part of it for EVs, but it's sort of an impact to both the used cars and the new cars. Everything is a little bit more expensive, and because new car prices are so high, used cars are a bit more desirable. So even those tend to be skewing a little bit higher because people can get more of a premium for those than they could have, say, 2 or 3 years ago. So it was about the impact of the things that are making used and new cars more expensive. 'Tis not your imagination. About $6,400.
Yeah, reals.
It looks like this was primarily increases on imported cars and parts.
Right. So it affects imports more than it does exactly if you're a U.S. manufacturer. So that's why it's an average, because it's looking at overall what it's some imported cars are way more than $6,400 more expensive. So that's what it comes out to on average is $6,400.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that's a big chunk of change in just 1 year.
Yeah, it's not right. It hasn't been like a slow creep, like we're saying, since 2010, since 2015.
It's on top of the slow creep we've had already anyway.
Right. It's like, no, since last year. Like, that's a very short amount of time for a $6,400 price increase. That's not a small number. That's a significant number, especially if you're looking for more budget friendly vehicles. So that increase is you are going to see it. And it's not your imagination. And there's, it's the tariffs, it's the lack of incentives, it's a lot of things that are impacting it, but it is genuinely, that's how much more it is going to cost you.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks all for listening, and hopefully you will hear all three of our voices all the way to the end this time. And we will be back next time. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Arie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.